Hey, welcome everybody. This is the Tucker Tuesday. I want to thank the new members in the paid memberships. I will be getting that video out for the paid memberships on Saturday. As I said, there'll be one per week and then a live video chat session once a month for the paid subscribers. And if you'd like to be a paid subscriber, there's a join button down by the subscribe button. And if the subscribe option doesn't come up, unsubscribe from the channel and hit the join button. It's pretty simple. Anyway, what tonight's hour is going to be is I'm shaping the block on the top here. And this started out as a 4.5 pound block. It was 1 inch wide or 1 inch thick by 4 inches wide by 36. I did have to scarf the excess in the back here, which is not a big deal. But this airplane is built by eye. It's not, there's not any plans for it or whatever. I mean, I don't know how many airplanes I've built by eye. But there is a taper in the fuselage, and we're going to try to get that taper in the top block in it. Just looking at the little Tucker there, it tapers down pretty good. So I'm going to make a mark, and we're going to take that off. And I'm going to explain a little bit about one more time about planing. So I'm going to mark here where I want to come down to, because remember there is a headrest that goes on here, and this taper starts right at the trailing edge, so we want to go from there to there. So we're going to try to keep that flat. We're going to take quite a bit of material off this block. Now, if I was at home or at John's or whatever, I would have sawn this on the bandsaw, but I'm not. So I'm going to do it the second best way I know how, which is plane it off. And it won't take 3 minutes to do it, probably. Now, I've mentioned in the past how to set your plane up. Don't try to take too big a bite. If you take a big bite, you won't get much done. So I'm going to plane that much material off there, and then we're going to round it over and try to plane the headrest to shape. This is the, I think this is, it's a master air screw plane. I have some extra blades. You always want a real sharp blade in here. It looks like I've got it twisted in there too, so I want to adjust this blade. Pretty important to keep the blade straight and only about 10 thousandths sticking out. So let's loosen these up and we'll just adjust the whole thing. Okay, I got it. They used to make a my Canadian friend, when I was a kid, had a blue razor plane. It used a double-edged razor blade. Man, that was a good plane, made of metal. I've never been able to find another one like it. So I got about 10,000 sticking out of here. That might be a little bit too much. I don't know. We'll try it. Yeah, it's a pretty big bite. I'm on the glue joint right here. When I round it over, it'll go real fast. I'm trying to take it off flat here, so it's kind of difficult. That glue joint is that's a white glue joint or a Titebond joint, so the plane really it stops there at the joint. I might have to cut that with a knife. Never give up. So all I did was I cut down into that scarf joint that was there. Might be difficult when I start rounding it over. Probably have to be done with sandpaper. Won't be able to do it with a plane. But that doesn't much matter. Yeah, I got too much blade sticking out. If you go back and check, this airplane's just a little over a month old, and all the major components are built. So basically what I'm doing now is, finish work. I'm getting it to the point for assembly. Ooh, got a long ways to go yet. I hope you guys have enjoyed this Mother Tucker, or whatever you want to call it, series. It's been kind of fun to build. I'm hoping that it flies as well as the other airplane that I'm using the numbers from. And I'm sure that it will, if I can keep it as light. Gonna try I also for the paid membership, guys, I need some suggestions on what kind of how-to videos you want to see me do. I got to do some molding, and yet on this, I can shoot the paid movies will be edited versions. They won't be live streamed like this. But I can give an instructional video on every process that I've got left on this. Such as alignment and silk. I've done so many silk span videos. I hear there's some videos floating around how to silk span without showing you how to silk span. And no, you don't need to cut the wingtip out. Do it all in one piece. I'll be using the that English high dollar Japanese tissue on this airplane. And I think we're going to get the series going on Saturday at John's again here shortly, because the state's getting ready to open back up. So, which we're never really closed. I mean, we should never have let them trample our civil rights anyway. Well, that's it. That's basically how I tapered that down. I mean, I'm right down there on that line already. So it doesn't take much. Now, I know that my cockpit, and I'm going to do it basically like the 60s style, just like the other Tucker. I'm getting an echo. Okay, let me check here. Make sure that this other mic is shut off. Oh, man. Check. Oh, I see why. Properties. Yep. Come on. I apologize. Like I say, I don't have the edited movies are much better. Okay, so that's the auxiliary mic. Audio input. Properties. Okay. All right, the echo should be gone now. We hope. Let me make sure I'm putting out still. Yep. Okay, I apologize for that. So many things going on. Well, we only ran 12 minutes, so that's okay. Like, subscribe, and share. If you want to see more content, there's going to be exclusive members-only footage. Hit the join button down there. It's $4.99 a month. Unless you're one of the big tippers. And there's three different options. It's down by the subscribe button. It'll say join. And then a video will pop up and explain to you what's going on. All right, so looking at the other Tucker, the pilot's headrest is just behind the trailing edge and just ahead of the flap. So I would say that it's probably right here. And the cockpit hole is just about right here. Now, I could be slick. If you guys watch my Monado video, I turned up, if you look at it, I turned up inside the dashboard. Okay, great, Eddie. This particular, I did it on the bandsaw though. This particular area here has a flip up. Now, I can do that. It's just going to take a lot of work because I'm going to have to do it by hand. And I think I might do that because that really is an added touch that not many know how to do or can do. So we'll just draw this in here. And I have plenty of block to work with. This is a pretty tall fuselage here, so I can drop it down, say, a 1/4 inch and have a 1/4 inch lip around this cockpit. But see, all these things have to be thought out in advance. Because this right here, I haven't taken any height off this. This is still 1 inch. So this is where my pilot's going to sit. I'm going to use the bigger pilot. I'm not going to use the pilot that my Clark Gable pilot on this one. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Oh no, upgraded membership. Great, Craig. Thank you. I'll be putting out the video Saturday for the members. I appreciate that. Clark Gable is one of the other pilots that Tommy Looper carved for me. This is a Williams Brothers pilot that he has cut into. I mean, he's cut age lines or wrinkles in here, and then he did a great job, but he's a little bit too small for this particular airplane. And I got about, I don't know, 10 or 15 pilots here of the bigger size. Let's see. That down in this box here. I think I put them in here. Yeah. I think. Well, I got him here somewhere. Now that's a racing pilot of the same size. That's the same size. There's a baby pilot. Ah, here we go. I'm going to use this size pilot here, the 2-inch 1/6 scale. So his head will be quite a bit bigger, and that'll be better. I wonder if I have the one with the helmet. I've got quite a few pilots here, that's for sure. See, there was a time when they said Williams Brothers going out of business, I scarfed up every pilot I could find. Here's a little pilot. Another little one. That's too bad. Here's a racing pilot. That's the 8th scale. I was hoping I had a racing pilot in the 2-inch, but I guess not. Now John has a real neat way of putting balsa wood, a baseball cap on these guys. There's my rib set. Okay, great. That goes with that. Wonder where that went to. That goes with that core. Yeah, Craig, I know there wasn't an extra. Hello, buenos tardes. I know there wasn't a video for you to watch immediately, Craig, but hang with me. You'll get a video on Saturday for members only. That's the join button down there, and I know that you didn't have any problem joining because you're a member. I've had messages from people say, I can't find the button or whatever. Well, you ain't looking. It's pretty big. Come on. Oh, man. Well, we won't worry about that. Got a lot of voodoo parts here. We can throw them out. Ain't gonna build any more voodoos. I probably got 4 more voodoo kits cut. this stuff back. Worry about this stuff later. So there's the pilot I'll use. I have to paint him up. I probably got the right pilot I'm looking for back at home in St. Louis, but whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to line out a fuselage. So I need my longer yardstick, my meter stick. This is all basically by eye stuff. It's hard to teach this type of skill on a video. Hey, no problem, Craig. I see you got your you're using your smileys. If you got any smileys you want to put on here, get them to me on the forum and I'll get them uploaded, because I have that option now. So center line, we're going to have to put a center line on the wood here, but don't dig it in too deep because you're going to have to get this off, all of it. Craig, I think you must be from Australia. I don't know, this camera angle any good? Maybe not. Maybe I need to get it down a little bit. Yeah, we'll go right there. We'll try that there. So what I've done here is I've went from the center of the tail post to the approximate center of the spinner, the nose ring. And the first thing I did was take the taper down. And so now we're going to do little steps in rounding. And when you round a fuselage, you just take an edge off. Make it like you're faceting it. Yeah, Bisbane. I kind of figured as much. No, I don't use 2 pins against the ruler. I've been doing this long enough, I can do it by eye. That's a good idea. So you see, when you have only 10 thousandths, and this is probably a little heavy, probably got 15 or 20 thousandths sticking out, you just start faceting it off. And as far as this goes here, I'm going to have to do this because I don't have a bandsaw. I'm going to have to do this with this knife here. We're going to cut into this. And try to drop it down. And that'll be inside the windshield. It's kind of like where the instrument panel would stick. And this is a lot harder to do than what you think. And make it look good. So already, if you look here, I've got a spot carved in there. This is kind of like carving you're sculpting, basically. So now I have to take down the whole nose to this level here. A lot of times I like the pilot sitting lower, and I don't know, I might do that on this, so that there's a curve, a gradual curve from behind the wing down into the spinner. That way it gives the illusion that it blends. And the only way that you can be proficient at this is to do it, and you got to do a lot of it. So this Tucker XL build, every an hour a day, has been going on for a little over a month. All the major components are built: the wing, the elevator, the fuselage. I've got the bottom skin to do. I already have the mold made for it, and I might show that as a how-to if you guys are interested in that. I need some ideas on what you want to see. I know you guys like to watch me work or whatever, but I want to do some really in-depth how-to videos. And not just live stream. We're going to have a pile of sawdust here. Yeah, I'm going to have to drop it some more. So I think I'll grind on it a little bit with the sandpaper. I'm using the 80. When I'm in St. Louis, I use 36. Because you can really take some material off with 36 grit. If you notice what I'm doing here is I'm not sanding this way, you'll sand a flat in it. I planed it that way, but you want to roll it across. And that'll make it nice and round. And if you remember, I have longerons in this so that I can go all the way down into the fuselage. And once I get the outside shape done, the top block comes off, gets hollowed, and the inside of the fuselage gets sanded out as well. And if you're going to build an airplane sub 60, you're going to have to sand out all the area that you can. The P-47 fuselage sides are 3/16 when you start. The crutch or the fuselage base, these are 3/16, but you're sanding the outside shape into an oval, and once that oval's sanded, you take the top skins off and you sand the inside out until you have a 3/32 fuselage wall. Now I haven't really figured out how to mold a fuselage side and keep everything straight, so that's why we do it that way. And you don't want it, I want to keep this flat back here. I don't want to sand any curve into this because I'm going to glue the headrest on here after I get it sanded, and after the headrest is on, I will shape this. The headrest is right here. And I was looking at this, and I'm going to have to, that looks pretty dorky there, like so. But the headrest gets cut down quite a bit. And And it looks like I've got this up high. I do. I'm going to have to plane this side a little bit more. I'm going to keep that parallel to the wing line. So you want this flat, you don't want it crooked or whatever. Because you want a nice joint. This will be hollowed out. And I might use a molded one, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. If that weighs 1 or 2 grams, I won't use a molded one. Because any time that you can use a block, you have less chance of starved horse look. So if you can use the block, if you have really good wood, go ahead and use it. But the molding came about because the wood was so terrible. You can't sand a block, thin enough. But this is 4-pound wood. This doesn't weigh 5 grams. So after I'm hollowed it out, if it weighs a gram, I mean, you can't make one, mold one that's a gram. But the type of wood that I'm using here is so exceptional. Yep, that'll work. Okay, back to this. Get up here. I'm gonna get a round tool like so. I use a lot of weird stuff. This operation I'm doing here is super hard to do and make look right. Because, my Monado turned out really well. But it took a long time to get it shaped right. I don't know if I can do that again. But it's a little detail that it's kind of neat because it's so hard to do. See, I have a groove dug in there now. That's no good. That'll look like hell. I think I'll just work on this tonight right here, this area here, and worry about the back half tomorrow. I don't think I'll have enough time. Okay. So now I have to block sand all this down till the groove is gone. And then I have to do it all by hand to blend it all together. The nice thing about this is, if I decide I don't like it, you just knock it right off. But you're taking off. You're not adding anything on, so you're not losing anything but your time. I gotta turn the heat off again. Unbelievable. Oh, we got some more Okay, I'm going to be doing that. Pushrod horns is coming up. How to on best or easiest way to connect pushrod to horns, not just ball links, but connecting flaps to elevator once top block or turtle deck is on. I find this hard. Okay, that's not a problem. Sometimes I'll do it. I'll have the pushrod in the back half of the airplane, and I'll show you when I get to that point. That'll have to be done over John's because I'm going to do that on his glass table because I don't have the room here. But I will definitely show the how to connect the flaps to the horns and get them zeroed. The most important part of doing that is getting all your controls zeroed. That's why the registry marks from the datum line are so important. Okay, now I'm going to do something that I don't recommend, but I do it sometimes, is sand by hand. You can really screw something up, but in this particular instance, I kind of got to, because there's no tool that can sand that edge in there like your fingers can. But you certainly don't want to sand the whole nose with an open piece of sandpaper. But this is the roughing end of this, so I'm leaving myself plenty of leeway to, I'm a mechanic, and part of the job is knowing which tool to use to make it easy. I see everybody struggling all the time doing stuff. It's, if you're using the right tool, that's why it's easy, or, it makes it easy. When I say right tool, that also includes the sandpaper. I see guys sand on things like this with 180, which I'm going to be sanding with 180, but hell, you be sanding all night long 180 to get it shaped in. I'm using 80 here, and I at home I use 36. I'm trying to remove material. Now, I don't know how many guys know what guide code is or whatever. That line that I put on top here is basically like a guide code, a registry mark, so that we can get it symmetrical on both sides. And I'll probably have to go over this several times. I'll have to candle it and make sure it's sanded evenly to that line. The line's going away now. Yep. Better go back to the block. I think it's time to change that out. I buy this sandpaper off Amazon. It's about $26 for a roll. It's sticky back. Good investment. It'll save time. It's good paper. It doesn't clog. It's the gold open coat stuff. I buy the red 320 in a roll. Same thing. It's about, I don't know, $25 or $30 a roll, and it'll last you. It'll do one roll of 320 will do a couple of airplanes. And the 80 grit will last you a year. I only go through about 180 roll a year. I got the spinner here. I want to make sure I get the shape right. So you want to, I got a long ways to go. I've got to come down. I got to cut that in half. I got a long ways to go. But you don't want to go too far too fast because you can't put it back on. So better to do it slow. Looks like this process might take me a couple of trips sanding. And the secret to a nice stunt plane is standing closer to the sandpaper for longer periods of time. And I know darn well it's boring to come here and watch me sand. It has to be. But if you're going to build model airplanes, you better love sanding. You'll notice I'm taking this sandpaper and rolling it over that. And it's all in the technique on whether you get it round or you get flats in it. It doesn't take long though. I mean, it's, as you can see, I took that square block and ground the crap out of it in 10-15 minutes. People say, well, you build fast. No, I just stand next to the bench longer. It's all relative. It takes about the same amount of time whether you do it in a week or whether you do it in a year. And you'll be able to go back and watch these videos on this build here and see exactly how long it took. Basically like the other Tucker, it took no time at all. Oh, Craig asked about push rods. Okay, I'm going to use the carbon fiber push rod and ball links on this. Sometimes I already have made up my mind. I put the horns in it for the ball links and adjustable. But what I have here is a full push rod. It's the full length, and I have an end on each side. I haven't connected the bell crank yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a ball link on this. I'm using 1.5-inch horns. So those are tall horns. I'm going to drill a bell crank at 15/16, and that gives you the same ratio with more leverage as 3/4. I will cut ever how long a push rod I need on this, put it on the bell crank, put another link in that, and then attach it to the flap horn, and then figure out the push rod length for the back, cut this half of the push rod that's left, and put another titanium end in it. And that's kind of the fastest way to do that. And as far as putting them in, I'm going to show how that's done. But that won't be this weekend. It'll probably be, we're probably 2 weeks away from that. Let's see, we have some tough to sand. You got Crest primer, and it's tough to sand. Huh. That's good stuff. After you get your primer all sanded, what do you do next? Paint your color or paint a base to get the dark and light areas even color. Depends on what color airplane you're going to paint, Stingray. If you're going to paint white, just a light dusting will be fine. If you're going to paint a dark color, don't even bother dusting it. But you want to get most of that primer off. And I can't believe you say it's tough to sand, because it sands real easy. But I'm hoping it's not as good as DC 540, but I'm hoping that that primer that I showed when I did this Sunday with John's show this week, I'm hoping that we got something going with that primer, because we're going to be able to mix our own chemicals in it. But the bad thing is you're going to have to spray it out of the spray gun. So that means more cleanup, more hassle. You can't just whip it out of the can and shoot it on. I hope you got the right Crest primer, the BH stuff. Not the self-etching stuff. Okay, I know it's not close, just by observation. See, what I'm trying to do with this is I'm trying to get the spinner to blend at the same angle. The nose is the focal point of your airplane. If you can get this to look streamlined so that there's not a big gap up here and the shape and angle is the same, doesn't matter whether it's higher up here and lower back here like this one is, because it kind of looks neat that way, which I'm going to leave this like that. I'm going to do something different on this one too. I'm not happy with the way my cowl fitment has been. It's been so difficult. I mean, I get a perfect fit cowl because I'm using Superfill, the Superfill and wax paper method. But I'm going to do this airplane a little different. I'm going to build this cowl right on this airplane after the 64th plywood is on. So the plywood, I've been finishing the fuselage to here and then building the cowl or whatever. Well, tomorrow night I might build a cowl and then bolt it on and then finish all this at the same time, which I should have been doing all my life, but I haven't. I get a nice fitment of the cowl. It's just taking me more work than is necessary. And John is kind of, we're kind of a springboard to each other. I tell him what I do, and he tells me what he does. And some of the stuff he does I like. And so that's what I'm going to do on this airplane. If you ain't learning, you ain't living. If you watch YouTube, I mean, there's a lot of channels that have nothing to do with model airplanes. But there's molding and resin and I mean, all kind of videos of different educational value on YouTube. And you look at that, go, hey, I could use that on my airplanes. So that turned out nice. I mean, it will. So I'll probably keep this feature. Like I say, this is doing this and making it look right is not an easy thing to do, but we'll get it. And that'll be just a little one more little detail. So let's switch to 180 and see what that does. Now this nose here is nowhere near ready to be sanded with 180, but I want to see what it looks like. See how close I'm getting to shape. And you want to, when you're sanding with 80 grit, you want to stop before you think you're ready, because them 80 grit scratches take some time to get out. So you want to switch over to 180 and see where you're at. Of course, this all gets fiberglassed, but nonetheless, you don't want to make more work for yourself than necessary. Pretty poor light in here too. Got a high spot right here I can see. Yeah, it's not bad though. Pretty pretty symmetrical so far. Let's see what we got over here. Any questions? Let's see how long I've been running. I get to blabbing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm only going to stay on an hour tonight because it's like I say, we're 10 minutes away. Because I started at 7, it's 10 minutes to 8 now. So within an hour, I've shaped the nose. And of course, like I say, it's a long ways from being perfect. We're probably an eighth of an inch away from being perfect. But you got to bring it down slow, because if you grind it in and overshoot, you're screwed. You got to throw it away. And this piece of wood was so nice that I don't want a chance ruining it. So this was one of the last blocks. We used to go to SIG in Montezuma, Iowa for the SIG contest. Mike Pratt, Mike Scott, and that was when Hazel was getting around. She was giving airplane rides in her airplane. In her, what do they call that thing? Skywalker. Anyway, we used to be able to take a factory tour. You could go back in the factory and pick out your own wood, and they had some great wood. And this is the last block from the SIG factory tour, and that's probably late 90s, early 2000s when I got this block of wood. The last block I had. Every time I go to any balsa wood factory or whatever, I go in and raid the stash, because it's kind of rare treat to select your wood right at the factory. And those ladies at SIG, you say, well, I need some 4-pound wood, some 8 gram 16th. They go up right here, and sure enough, it'd be 8 grams. They really knew their stuff. I used to enjoy sitting in the shade with Roland McDonald. I don't know when he died, but that's how long ago it was. It was kind of cool. He knew some stuff. we got the back half roughed in tonight, or the front half, I mean. And like I say, this is just roughed in, but it gives me an idea what it's going to look like. I kind of like to sit it on the bench there and look at it and kind of ponder. I'm going to need to make some cardboard rudders. If you notice, I built now 2 rudders for this. I'm going to keep, maybe I'll keep the bottom rudder. I don't know, I might change my mind. I'm going to need to build some cardboard rudders once I get this done. That's why I stopped that second rudder, because I knew it wasn't going to be big enough. But I don't want it as big as my S6B Supermarine either. Anyway, you can see the turn up here. And then, of course, the windscreen will come back here, and the pilot will sit in the recess. And the headrest needs to be sanded down to the size, the back of his head. We'll sit on here. And I must cut the headrest just ahead of the leading edge of the elevator, and it needs to be 3/8 of an inch wide, so there's a lot of wood got to come off of this yet. And of course, the bottom will be molded off of this buck here. It's how I've been doing that is 2 pieces of 16th laminated with Sigbond, watered down. I got another, this is 50/50 white glue. Just paint it on and then wipe it all off, and then put them together and wrap it with an ace bandage on this and let it dry. Makes a good, hard, light bottom block. I don't have another one of those 4-pound blocks of wood, or I would. I think the last super piece I got is this piece right here, and I'll probably use this on part of the cowl. This is, I think this is 4.5 pound. It's pretty light. Of course, I got this block here. Let's see here. This was not as good as the other one, if I remember right. Let's see what the weight of this is and what pound wood it is. This wood is 1.25 inches thick by 3. I think it's 36. Yep, 1.25 inches by 3 by 36. Let's see what the weight of this is in the poundage scale. I have to go to that racing calculator again. On. It's a good piece, it's just not super good. It's 180 grams. Let's see. It, there it is. We need to go here. And here. Racing density calculator. Weight of balsa wood, 180. And the length is 36. The width is 3. And the thickness is 1.25. 1.25. Calculate. Oh, yeah, calculate. That works out to 5.11 pound wood. So it's a good piece. It's just not super premium. You know, like I say, I use 4.5 pound on the nose block. Might even have been less than that. And when you're doing the nose block or what have you, it's a lot easier to shape a block. Open widget error. What's wrong here? Are we buffering? Let's see here. Huh. Poor. Stream status is poor. Huh. Okay. Alright. Well, it looks like we're starting to have stream problems anyway. I've run my hour. I appreciate you watching. Thanks for joining. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Join the premium side because I will be showing stuff that's not going to be available here for my premium members. So, till tomorrow night, fair winds, tight lines. See you guys.